Hey, it's Jordan with TYT Politics. I'm here at the West Calumet Complex in East Chicago, Indiana. If you haven't been following, this complex was where there was 212 times the allowable limit for lead. That was found here in July of last year. At that time, the residents were told they had about 6 months to move out. That was extended. And now, this week, residents, including Demetra, were given a 10-day forced eviction notice with 2 months left in the school year. And the residents have not been allowed to choose where they're going. They were literally given an address in many cases in Chicago, which is not exactly the safest place for their children. So they got a 10-day forced eviction notice for the 81 remaining families here. The mayor has not been responsive to their concerns. They don't want to move their kids with 2 months left in the school year. And in addition, this whole time, since July, when these horrible numbers came out, they have not been getting assistance from the housing authority, who's supposed to be helping them find a new permanent place to live. But as you'll hear, has been doing very little, if anything, has been going against them. I wanted to start with you because your story is really interesting. So, if the numbers came out in July that they were found lead in the soil, 200 times the limit, and other things, then obviously there was concern about it from the city before then. Can you tell the audience when you moved in here?
May of 2016.
So you moved in about a month and a half before this came out. Was anything said to you about they're looking into contamination in the complex? Anything at all?
Absolutely nothing. Nothing. I had no idea. None.
I'm assuming you would have thought twice if you knew.
I have never moved over here if I had known that. Never. Well, I have my son and my daughter. They are still in school, and they want to relocate me to 3939 South Lake Park Avenue in Chicago, Illinois. I work in Indiana. I work in Hammond. I would most definitely have to quit my job. My kids would have no way to get out here to school, so that would force me to have to transfer them, which would absolutely be detrimental to them. My son has an IEP, which is an individual educational plan. There's no way he needs to move now. They start testing next month. They're thoughtless and they're heartless. It's not their situation. These are not their children, so they don't care. And it's not fair. We didn't ask for this. We didn't know anything about this. They have residents that's been, living in East Chicago for 44 years, don't know anything about anywhere else, that they're trying to force to move to Chicago. What are they thinking?
But what's really terrible, on top of everything else, so the housing authority here, they knew about the lead levels, but to make a buck, to keep this at full occupancy, whatever,
Absolutely.
they were moving in. Why would you even think there was an issue? So they were moving you in. I met others that were moved in July.
Yeah.
When the numbers came out.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, once in July those numbers came out, they gave you got 6 months to move out. Can you kind of talk about what you and the other residents, what's been the relationship with the housing authority here? Have they been helpful at all? Have they sent you guys information about these locations have open houses? We could help you get there. What's been the assistance? Because a lot of people say, well, why don't you just move? It ain't so easy in a low income neighborhood on a fixed income. Talk about what assistance you've gotten.
Not the assistance that we should have gotten. I was told that for the ones that didn't have a way to get somewhere, we would be taken to those locations. That has not happened. Any of the information that they have given me as far as what websites to look on, I already have an account with those websites. So they have not absolutely given me anything that I haven't already done or looked or searched or tried myself. So nothing.
And just so you know what we're dealing with here, you don't see it, but I mean this whole house here, boxes on top of boxes for months, because they've all been living in basically this transition where they're packing up, trying to find places. I've heard people spending half their time going to open houses.
Yes.
But the problem also is, even if you found a place, places would discriminate against you. Can you explain that?
As soon as they found out we're from West Calumet, that was it. That was the end of it. They were actually feeling that we would transport the lead over there to their properties. Yeah, we were turned down. I made many calls, and they would ask me, "Are you one of the West Calumet residents?" So I would tell them yes. "Oh, well, no, I'm not renting to any resident from over there." It's been absolutely hard.
What were they worried? Your furniture or things like that?
Oh, yeah, they actually felt that the furniture, the rugs, whatever, we may be bringing would be contaminated with the lead.
So the housing authority gives you a housing voucher, which, trust me, wasn't much. And they basically give you a kick in the ass. You figure it out. And then you're discriminated against because through no fault of your own, you've been living in a toxic wasteland.
Exactly. And they didn't care. They didn't care that it wasn't our fault. The only thing that they were concerned about is that we could transport the lead over to their properties. From the furniture, from the carpet, whatever. They just didn't want it. They didn't want to be bothered with it. They didn't want to deal with it.
And share this video. Let's get it out. I know it's Saturday and people are doing their thing, but they're facing eviction as of March 31st.
Yes.
So this is an urgent situation. The only reason politicians ever do anything is if they have a very big fire lit under their anus. And that's what we're trying to do here at the Young Turks. Now, what I find among many things that are troubling is, in a neighborhood that has some money, probably a different skin color, if this happened, they'd be dropping off smart water bottles for you. They'd probably be setting up a nice fluid bus schedule or car schedule, maybe put you in a hotel or two.
Absolutely.
But for you guys, you've been contaminated. And after that, I get the feeling that it's almost when you ask for help, you're treated almost like you're an annoyance.
We are. We are very much so. I have felt that on so many occasions. And why should I be made to feel that way? Why should any of us be made to feel that way? You guys are supposed to be helping us anyway. Like, for example, with the water. I pay for my own water. I'm constantly at the grocery store buying bottles of water and buying gallons of water. I pay for it. The only water, like, for example, Reverend Rivera, they were over here a couple of weeks ago, and they passed out water to all the residents. I thought that was absolutely awesome. We had some people a few months back that did the same. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Why isn't housing doing that? The letter that Tia just handed me at the door on Tuesday.
Tia's the housing director.
If you want to call her that. But the letter that she handed me Tuesday at the door, I just got the same letter out of the mailbox today. Why give it to me twice if once wasn't enough? Yep, Chicago, Illinois, far southeast side. I'm very familiar with the area. I was born and raised Chicago. I moved out of Chicago 10 years ago when my now grown sons were younger, and I did it to save them. Staggering violence rate, then it's far worse now. Why would I want to move back?
And why, if there's vacancies in East Chicago, why are they sending you to Chicago? As far as I know, when Chicago had issues, they sent a lot of people from Chicago to East Chicago, and now it seems like they're sending people from East Chicago back to Chicago. I don't know if it's you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours later, but it doesn't make sense if you have vacancies here, why they're sending people to Chicago.
Absolutely. It doesn't make sense to me either. Just like for the residents that live over here, I know that they're aware, just like, we are, about the altercations and the beef that West Calumet has with the harbor.
Explain that for the audience.
People from the harbor and from West Calumet don't like each other. They don't associate. The kids get into fights with each other. They get into arguments with each other. And they have residents here that they're placing in the harbor. People know who is from where. If the harbor know who's from West Calumet know who is from the harbor. Why would you place those people in danger like that? Because they don't care. They don't have to live over there. They don't have to live that life.
Do you think them trying to forcefully evict you guys, this and that, is essentially just, you know what, this problem's been going on long enough. We don't want to deal with it anymore. Kind of cover your ass. Let's get the residents out now. Let's wall off the whole complex, because they're not going to demolish it in 2 months.
Exactly.
So they're basically kicking you out, but they're not going to do anything with the complex until probably the fall,
Exactly.
if that. So what do you think is behind this rush?
I think it's because they're trying to save face. You know, they have had a lot of negative media coverage and things like that. As such, they should.
The little media coverage they've gotten.
Right. It has really hasn't gotten the type that it should have, but they're basically just trying to be done with it. They're trying to be done with the problem, and they figure if they move us on out, force us to go, then they don't have to deal with it anymore. They don't have to hear anything from the residents. They don't have to worry about media covering it. Then they're safe, and they can pretty much, you know, go back to living their life as usual. I only work 28 hours a week. You know, it's not exactly a whole lot of money. I don't have any transportation. There is no bus transportation to get from Chicago to the area where I work in Indiana. So that would leave services like Uber and Lyft, which I definitely cannot afford. Cost-wise, I might as well quit because I wouldn't be able to keep my job.
And that's not even talking about how would you get your kids to school if you want to keep them here.
Exactly. If I wanted to keep them out here, that's more money that I don't have. So that means that I would have to pull my kids out of a school, for one, that my son is in with his IEP. He's comfortable with his teachers. He's comfortable with the environment, and he's learning what he needs to learn. My daughter is in 6th grade. She's been at Washington Elementary since she was in pre-K. As adults, we can adapt. Kids don't know how to adapt like that. That would be devastating to her, to take her away from a place that she's familiar with like that. She knows everybody in the school. The teachers, the counselors, remember her from when she was yay high. They don't care. They didn't ask us, would we have a way to get the kids back and forth to school? Would we be able to afford it? Would we be able, do we have jobs? Where do we work? They didn't ask us any of that. We didn't even know about this until we was passed the letters out Tuesday. Door to door. Door to door, they're passing the letters out. We have not even seen them other than that.
And the mayor didn't meet with you guys to discuss this? The housing authority did not meet with you guys to discuss this?
Absolutely not. We knew nothing about it until we got those letters.
And, the federal HUD, Dr. Ben Carson, don't even get me started. He runs HUD. He's a neurosurgeon, so he's supposed to be able to, quickly understand facts and the brain. Do you have a message for Carson, the HUD? I'm going to get to Pence in a minute. But what's your message to, the federal government, too? Because they're allowing this, just like they've pretty much allowed the residents of Flint to sit there for years, still can't drink the water, haven't had their pipes changed for the most part.
We are human beings, and we have a right to be able to choose where we want to go. We have a right to be able to allow our kids to finish school. We're asking for June 28th. Consider these children being taken out of school 2 months before the school year ends. They start testing next month. If for no other reason, give these kids a chance to at least finish school. We know we have to go. We don't want to stay in this contaminated area, but we do want to give our kids a chance to complete what they need to complete in order to move forward. It's way too late in the school year for them to try to catch up and start over somewhere new.
It's not like you've had your feet up in bed drinking a margarita. You've been looking for new places for months.
Every single day. Not one day goes by that I have not been looking. Even now, even with everything that's been going on, I'm still looking every day. I was out this morning at an appointment looking at a place. Have no idea why that place was showed like that. It was in my opinion, it was not in a livable condition, but he felt like it would be ready in 2 days. I don't see how. But every day I have looked since we got those vouchers, nonstop. It has not been one day that I have taken a break. I'm on the internet. I'm driving around. I'm making calls. I'm asking people. I'm on a day-to-day search every day.
Is there any comments, questions? Just more support?
Support. Donna saying that the government should be finding you guys a place, which I think is completely correct. People are talking about genocide. Genocide is shameful to be an American and that they're having their citizens live in this condition. For me personally, I would be outraged. Like, you guys are asking for the minimal. You're not even saying we need water fixed. You're just saying let my children, don't just kick us out and put us on the street like we don't matter. You know what I mean? They wouldn't even do that to animals. That's what would piss me off. Yeah. They wouldn't treat animals the way that they're treating you guys. You know what I mean? And it has to do with class. It has to do with race. It has to do with everything, because class has everything to do with race. Because back in the day, the majority of slaves that were free didn't have anything. So that put them in that class out the gate. From emancipation, you were already set in that class, and that perpetuated itself. And they knew the majority of the people that are poor will be black, will be people of color. So they go hand in hand. It can't just be class. It's class and race.
Absolutely. I agree. And I absolutely feel the same way. As I'm sure, the rest of the residents do too. We have not been getting the type of assistance and help that we should have been as far as finding somewhere. It has been others that was blessed enough to find somewhere, yes. But what about the ones that remain?
But by the way, the folks they have found some things, they've had problems in their new locations.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I heard about that. I sure did. They have had places, problems in the new locations. So what HUD needs to do, what the mayor needs to do, give us this time we asking, and at the same time, while we're still here, help us find somewhere to go. Help us find a place to live, because we're not getting anywhere doing it on our own. Maybe we need, them speaking, them asking for the landlords to, call us, get in touch with the housing, speak up, let them know that, okay, well, I have some properties I'm willing to rent. I'm willing to rent to some residents. We need help, guys. We need help. We don't have anybody else. Nobody has been helping us thus far. We need to be able to stay here so the kids can complete the school year, and we need help finding a place.
Well, also, the housing authority, what are you going to do that they're being discriminated against because of the poisoning that you did to them? Not the housing department, but all, the government, all that. It's not their fault that they have. Okay, so if the housing, if other places won't let them come in with their furniture because it's contaminated, then you need to pay for their furniture. It's very simple. Last question. I think that he gets a very big pass from the media because he looks like a 1950s TV dad, and Trump is so bad, so it makes him look a little less bad. But the bottom line is, yeah, the bottom line is, Vice President Mike Pence was the governor here. He didn't do a damn thing for you people. No. He didn't come down here. He sent his lieutenant governor down here. He denied your requests for disaster relief.
Yes, he did.
And during all this, there was a lead in the water issue in Greentown, Indiana, which is predominantly white. More money too. He met with city officials, and it was fixed like that in 2 months.
Oh yeah.
During the campaign, he heroically left the campaign trail to go to a white area that had a tornado. Not saying he shouldn't have, but what do people need to know? Because all joking aside, it's possible this man could be president one day. Yet, I think it's very clear for different folks who make different amount of money, have a different skin color, he responds a drastically different way.
Well, I definitely don't want a man like that, as a president. It's absolutely I can't put it any lighter. It's racist. That's exactly what it is. We still feel we're not uneducated people. We're educated. We have degrees. We work. We have lives, and just like he did all of those things for those cities that were of different colors and had more money, we deserve the same thing. They did deny the disaster relief, and we need that. We don't have any help financially here. Like I said, everything that's been done, as far as the few donations we have gotten as far as water, the residents are doing it out of their pockets. We're doing it out now. When everything first happened, they came in one time and did the cleaning. That was months ago. How much contamination you think is back in here now?
And from what I hear, their cleaning wasn't so thorough anyway. No. But also, it's the kind of thing that an elected official could not act for certain groups, and then he goes on to a higher position, and he basically washes his hands of the whole thing, and nobody knows about it. I mean, I guarantee you, people who watch CNN, read the New York Times, have no idea what I just said about Mike Pence.
I bet they don't either. I agree. Because these are things, like you said, that's, covered up, swept up under the rug, and then, hey, my hands are, clean. I got out of that one. It's absolutely disheartening. And we're frustrated. We're tired. And we need him, along with Copeland, HUD. You guys need to be made accountable. You need to do the things that you should be doing for the residents of the West Calumet Complex contamination, and help us. Help provide the funds that we need. Help us find somewhere to go, and allow our kids to stay. Allow us to stay till June 28th so we can make sure our kids are stable.
When is Copeland up for re-election?
I'll have to look into that. I don't know.
Because I think what you just mentioned about Pence, it's the same. To me, it's the same dynamic. Because if he moves these people out, who he's treating like shit, he don't have to worry about them voting or not voting. They're going to be in another city. They won't even be able to vote here. You know what I'm saying?
This area did not vote for him, and he knows that.
Yeah. And so obviously he don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? And that pisses me off even more. That's why they need the audience help, because he's gonna wash his hands as soon as you guys are going and continue like he's been the man and he's been looking out for his constituents when he don't give a fuck about his constituents.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I think I'd love to know your thoughts, but I think why this is important is, if you put on Facebook on a Saturday, East Chicago residents, that's not sexy. Half the country don't know who East Chicago is, and they want to just go follow whatever Justin Bieber's doing today. But, why it's important is, I don't want to scare you, and I don't want to be dramatic, but this could be you next. Because lead doesn't have a preference for race or for money, because most of the pipes in this country are 70 to 80 years old. Exactly. And they have not been changed. So, and a lot of these places, not just here, but the homes, were built with paint, when paint was pretty much made of all lead. Yeah. So when you have, I looked at some of the homes in East Chicago. When they have rain, there's flooding. And when that water hits the wall that has corroded paint, it creates lead and stuff like that. Also, I who live in New York, when I come here, I could be in West Calumet Complex for an hour and I can't fucking breathe.
Oh my God.
Because I'm not used to it. Yes. And the contamination is so thick. So could you imagine what these people and her kids, who are still young enough, are dealing with? So there's no urgency for you at the moment because you're not facing a 10-day eviction. But I promise you, go to the Reuters story. There's 3,000 cities in this country. And by the way, way more than 3,000. That's just through their study what they found. 3,000 cities with higher lead levels than Flint. And as I've shown, working with an independent water expert, it's not just lead that's the problem. There's bacteria. Yeah. Bacteria is also a problem. We put up a video like 2 weeks ago with Erin Brockovich talking about the bacteria crisis. The news, when they cover it, they only focus on lead. So the bottom line is, if you let politicians like this mayor and the vice president of the United States continue to basically, when they have the power and the decision making to grant money for testing or do the right thing, and they don't, and then after the catastrophe and the numbers come out, they don't do the right thing. If you continue to let that happen, then you're going to continue to be treated as roadkill in this country. And they're going to continue mowing you over. Black, brown, white, marshmallow, don't matter, because there's a lot of poor people that are white in Flint and other places that are getting treated like crap too. Yeah. So I don't believe in being a neutral robot journalist. The facts here are the facts, and I know the facts. So the facts are these people did not do anything to contaminate their homes. They wouldn't have moved in here. She moved in here 2 months before these numbers came out. You don't think they knew about these numbers before? And they didn't tell her. By the way, there are disclosure laws that have been broken in East Chicago. That's a whole nother subject. But why it's important for you to call the number that's in the headline here, that's his cell phone number, folks. Maybe a little controversial to be handing out the mayor's cell phone number, but I think it's a little controversial for an elected official to forcefully evict poor minorities with no explanation and not even talking to them. That's controversial. So call them. And you know what? By the way, East Chicago, it's only 45 minutes from downtown Chicago. So if you live in Chicago, East Chicago City Hall, there's going to be protests there Monday. I'll get you the information. Change your plans. We need bodies there because you know what? The bottom line is, even if it sounds like a small victory, like getting them to reverse this and not force these people out, small victories like that are what actually creates change. And the only way a politician does the right thing is if they feel their job is on the line and they're going to have some nasty headlines. So I thank you for you've been calling him so far, and a lot of you have called his office and now his cell phone. Keep doing it, because it's not, doing it for a day isn't going to make a difference. But if you keep doing it and they realize, shit, this ain't a temporary thing, that's how you change. So give him the number, 808-7251. Again, 219 808 72 51.
Yes.
And not to let his office off the hook.
Tell it.
Oh, Jesus. I'll go to my Facebook later. I'll put both numbers because my phone's dragging. But keep calling and share these videos. It's not about like me getting 500,000 views, but like I always say, most of the time the problem isn't people lacking compassion. The problem is most people don't know what the hell's going on. And most people don't know about this. And let me tell you, even if it's a Republican, there are compassionate people out there. And if they knew how they were treating human beings as animals, a lot of people would have problems with that because, again, it could be your community next. I'm doing a town hall on Tuesday night in Flint, Michigan. You're on TYT Politics now. We have the event up there. We're going to be with residents. It's at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Flint, Michigan. 3.5 years after that crisis, their pipes haven't been changed. They still can't drink their water. Don't listen to the government. And, the levels are under. No, they cherry pick the numbers. It's not safe to drink tap water in Flint, Michigan. Who's paying for their medical bills for their children? There's been nosebleeds and bone disease. Parents have experienced cancers. I'm talking to someone tomorrow who has a liver problem. They've been dealing with that for 3.5 years. What about the citizens here? So again, right now it's just Flint, East Chicago, but there's problems in Cleveland. There's problems in Milwaukee. There's problems on Long Island. There's problems in Florida. California is a giant cesspool now. Google California water. See what comes up. So this is a quiet epidemic, and it's not going to be so quiet by the time I'm done with it, because as far as I'm concerned, it is your job as a journalist to highlight and expose injustice and corruption and, frankly, what's wrong with the country. I'm not here just to tell you the story. I want to get you to actually do something about it. So as much as it's great to press share, and I love you, if that's all you could do, then that's great. But if you could make calls, if you could physically come down, you know why I knew about this story in the first place? A TYT viewer sent me the story. I didn't know about it. I don't live here.
Thanks, viewer.
Yeah. So that's you have the power to really change things. So that's the deal. And my last thing is, for you, I'm sure you've had difficulties in your life before, but can you kind of just talk about the last year, going from just thinking you were moving into an apartment to what you've dealt with? What has the last year been like?
Stressful, absolutely stressful, and aggravating. I've broken down several times, which is something I haven't did in a while. But this whole situation has absolutely brought me to tears.
I assume your kids too sometimes.
My kids, they are just they never lived anywhere where they couldn't play outside. That was really hard for me to explain to my then 10-year-old daughter. They've never been anywhere where we can drink the water, They're nervous. They're scared. My son constantly makes sure he asks me, Mom, do we have enough water? They can't be kids. They can't be kids because of this whole situation. And that's really, really, it makes me really sad.
Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
We'll stay on this.
You guys for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Share the video. Watch the other videos, the youtube.com/TYT Politics. Make it your mission this weekend. You could binge watch Netflix and all that, drink a couple whiskeys if you'd like. Tell someone about this and give them the number. I actually think we could reverse this, but it's going to take an army to do it. Thanks, guys.